Good morning and welcome everybody to the University of Derby's online open day. My name's Steve Ward and I've got a presentation going through why student living halls are the first choice for first years here in Derby. Just a couple of housekeeping things before we start. We have got a live Q&A function running throughout the session, so if there's anything that you want to ask, please add it into the chat box on the right hand side. And we'll answer as many of those as possible. If you see a question on there that you also would like to know the answer to, please like that, because that will help us sort of prioritise the most important questions. And just to say that I've got Hannah and Heather with me from the marketing team who will be sort of helping us go through this. So if I just move on to the presentation. So as I say, my name's Steve Ward and I work for the student living team here in Derby. Our slogan is Get More, and we are the first choice for the first year student here in Derby. We are the endorsed residential provider. What that means is that we've got strong links to the university. We are essentially a university department, so all of our staff work for the university. And what that means is that we sort of accommodate people and work with the university to make sure that we have the students' best interests at heart when making accommodation choices for them. All of our halls have a good community feel, and we are proud to say that we are award-winning accommodation. A little bit about those awards. This is really just to give you a flavour of the strength of the offer here in Derby. So we participate in the National Student Housing Awards. That is a satisfaction survey that looks at the quality of student accommodation across the United Kingdom. The National Student Housing Survey give awards based on certain satisfaction results, and we are proud to say that for the last 2 years we have won the best customer service. What that means is that our students here in Derby rated the customer service that they had by us better than any other accommodation provider in the country. In addition to that, this year we also won the first Student Wellbeing Award, which meant that our students felt that the wellbeing service that they receive here in Derby was better than any other provider in the country. And we've also received the Best Environmental Management Award. For the last 3 years, we've received the International Accommodation Quality Mark. That's where our international community rate all of our services at over 90%. That's relevant here because the service that we offer to UK students and international students is no different. In addition to that, we've also been shortlisted for the best booking experience, the best university halls and the best moving in experience. So hopefully, as I say, that gives you an indication of the strength of the offer here in Derby. So a little bit about that offer. We offer all-inclusive rents. So the rents that you see advertised include a Wi-Fi service, a weekly cleaning service into the communal areas of flats. In addition, we've got good maintenance turnaround times. So one of the advantages of being linked to the main university is that we can call on the university's in-house maintenance teams to ensure that we get speedy responses in relation to that. We've also got on-site laundries at each of our sites, and our sites are close to the university campuses, the other university campuses and the city centre. In relation to rent payments, we take those 3 times a year in October, January and April, and they are designed to be taken after students receive their student loan payments. So a little bit about the security within our halls. So all of our halls are safe and secure, and there is a 24-hour staffing structure in each of the halls. So every hall has a hall manager, every hall has a caretaker, every hall has a team of cleaners, and every hall has a team of residential assistants who are students that work to sort of help facilitate things such as post and the running of our offices. So there is always a member of our staff working at each of our halls 24 hours a day. In addition, we've got a dedicated wellbeing resource. So one of the advantages of being linked to the university is that we can call on the university's student wellbeing team, and we pay for and receive a dedicated wellbeing resource, which means that all students can get quick access to the wellbeing services should they need them over the year. In addition to that, all of our halls have got secure intercom. So you can't get into our communal areas unless you have either got a fob to get through the door or you are buzzed and somebody allows you into the building. And all of our sites are covered by good CCTV. Excuse me. A little bit about our freebies. So all of our halls are served with unlimited unibus travel. So when we the university offers free and unlimited unibus travel, and that covers all of the university campuses, all of the halls, and to the train station and bus station, and that is free for you as a student here in Derby. In addition, with the halls, we provide room content insurance and bike cover as part of the rent, and in addition, we provide free bike storage at each of our halls. We've got a Freeview TV and radio service, which is available through our internet connector, our internet provider. So all of our students can get access to TV and radio during their stay with us in halls. We also have an events programme where most of our events are free, and I've got a little bit more about that events programme later on. Okay, a little bit about the choice. So we've got 8 different halls across the city, and we've got a variety of room types to cater for all needs. So we do like to think that we've got an offer and a room at the right value for everybody who is looking for accommodation. For 2020, September 2020, our costs vary from £113 for standard rooms up to £150 for our premium ensuite rooms, and we do have a variety of price points in between those. In addition to that, we do have car parking available on most of our sites. That is an additional charge of £300 a year. What we say to students is that you don't need a car to study here in Derby. You're not able to get onto the university campuses with a car unless you've got a reason a sort of well-being reason to need the car, but we do understand that some students want car parking. So as I say, that is an additional charge of £300. You can come back as a returner, and that is growing in popularity. So this year we had about 700 returners come back to halls. So we are seeing an increase in second and third year students that are wanting to live with us across their entire academic studies, and we are opening more halls to keep up with that demand. You can live with friends and you can apply to live with friends, and that works even as a first year student. So if you are coming to Derby and there's somebody from your local area who is coming to Derby, you can stipulate that on your application form and we will look to put you together. So a little bit about the luxury accommodation. So since 2016, we have opened 1,000 premium plus ensuite. They are our high-end accommodation, city living. They come with separate social spaces, such as the ones that you can see in the bottom right of your screen. They are our most expensive accommodation, but they do prove to be popular with our first, second and third year students. In addition to that, we have created 650 premium standard rooms since 2017. So that's where we've gone into our more existing halls and refurbished them. So they are more traditional halls where it's generally 6 bedrooms with a shared bathroom at the end. So a little bit about our events programme. We do have a dedicated hall events team. And we've got social reps that work for each hall. So social reps are some students who do paid employment for us and go around organising events that help students settle into halls. So we run a variety of events, with most of them being free to access, or if they're not free to access, they're very heavily subsidised. So, for example, this year we took students to Harry Potter World and shopping trips to London, and certainly in terms of accessing Harry Potter World, although there was a small charge for students, you're not paying sort of anywhere near the sort of gate price you would pay if you went there usually. So a little bit about the types of events that we run. So we do learning life skills, so that's cookery courses, things such as that. We run inter-hall competitions, local social events, so trips to trampoline parks, laser quest, things such as that. We do local quizzes within the halls, and as I say, we do some national trips further afield. And a little bit later on in the presentation, I'll talk to you about some of the changes that we're looking to make to that for September 2020. So how do you apply then? So Derby has to be your first choice university in order to apply, and you apply online through the University of Derby's website. We allocate on a first come and first served basis. So what we ask of students is that you provide us with your top 3 halls in order of preference, and we will try to allocate you as high up that preference list as we can. The earlier you apply in the cycle, the easier that is for us to do. So as a general rule, anybody that applies between January and April can usually get their first choice. From April onwards, sometimes we're moving down to people's second choice, depending on the type of accommodation that they're looking for. The only thing that we do is we ask you to stipulate your room choice and whether you want gender, mixed gender or single gender flats, and we'll make sure that we allocate in relation to that. The only other thing that we look at is age. So we do place students together of a similar age. We don't look at your academic courses, so we don't place students together based on their academic courses. When you're making that booking, we ask for a £50 advance booking fee. That is a non-refundable booking fee, but it is deducted off your first term's rent payment, so it's not an additional charge to the rents that you see advertised. If you apply by the 31st of August, you are guaranteed to receive a place in the university halls. So a little bit about some of the changes that we're looking to make from September in relation to the current coronavirus pandemic in the country. So we do recognise that it is uncertain times for students in making university choices, whether they're coming to halls, and that, you know, there's more things to consider this year than there has been before. In response to that, we are offering flexible contracts for students for this year. What that means is that students will be able to arrive from any point from the start of September up until January, and you will only pay from the date that you arrive to us in halls. You won't incur additional costs if you choose to arrive later. We'll also adopt a more flexible approach to contract releases if they are related to coronavirus. So this year, for example, we released our students from their third term rent payment in recognition of the fact that the vast majority of them had gone home and teaching had moved online. So we recognise that should we find ourselves in a situation like that again, then we would look to offer the same flexibility with students. In addition, we are looking at offering short-term lets on a case-by-case basis. So anybody who is coming to Derby but feels that they may not need to be in Derby full-time or doesn't want to be here full-time because of coronavirus, you can inquire with us around short-term lets for the next academic year. In addition to that, our events programme, as we touched upon earlier, will adapt to the current situation. So we are looking at a range of activities such as online, delivering activities online, and placing students together and doing activities within their flats. The approach that we are currently taking at the moment is that we are devising a number of different events programs, and we will try to deliver the events program that is as close to the normal one as we can get. So we are going to wait till sort of August and see what the national picture is before we commit to that program. But we will have a full events program for students regardless of the national picture at that stage. A little bit more around how we're ensuring that our halls are COVID safe this year. So as I said, we are delivering a full programme and services in relation to halls. We will ensure all of our halls are COVID safe by we are having staggered arrivals into halls. So in relation to social distancing, we will make sure that not every student arrives on the Saturday as they traditionally would. So we will be looking to do staggered arrivals either side of Saturday, the 19th of September. As I mentioned, we will be doing online events and household events where necessary. We are going to be increasing our cleaning of high traffic areas, and we will be providing additional cleaning resources into flats with shared bathrooms. Communication about how these services will operate will be provided to all students following the A-level results day in August. So that's everything in relation to the halls overview. I just want to point you in the direction of a couple of other resources, because usually at an open day you would get the opportunity to go and view our halls. So if you go onto the university's website and go into the accommodation section and then into our halls, you'll find detailed information in relation to all of our halls. You will find 360-degree tours of rooms. You'll find details around the room types for each hall. There will be details in relation to the cost of those halls and details in relation to the local amenities that surround that hall. And if you've got any additional information or questions that you do need to ask, then please do get in touch with us at the student housing team. Those details are at the bottom of your screen. Thank you for taking the time to listen to that, and I understand that there'll be a number of questions now for us to go into the Q&A. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you very much, Steve. We've had lots of questions come in, so we're going to crack straight on. So one of the most popular questions that we've had is, how much are the laundry facilities that are on site in the halls?
So the laundry facilities so this year they were £2.40 a wash, and I believe they will be the same next year.
Fantastic. As I said, that was the most popular question that we've had for your presentation. Okay. The next one is around having friends over to stay. So if they are in halls, can they have visitors? Can they have people to stay over? If they can, is there an age limit on who can come over? Is there car parking available? So do you want to just talk a little bit around visitors? Absolutely,
yeah. So our general visitor policy allows visitors over the age of 18 to come and stay with you for a maximum of 2 days per week. We ask that you let the hall manager know if you're having a visitor that is staying with you overnight. There isn't car parking available, I'm afraid, because all of our car parking spaces get allocated to the students on halls who have brought a car. But there is a variety of parking around the halls, and we can provide information in relation to that. There is a little bit of uncertainty this September around visitors. So certainly before the government changed their guidance this week, our approach was going to be to not allow visitors to come into halls, to be in line with the government guidance. Our interpretation of the government guidance is that you are now allowed to have visitors into households, so we will be allowing that. I suppose what it's fair to say is that we will be led purely on the government guidance in relation to coronavirus in what our visitors' stance will be in September. So if that changes or the government sort of restrict that further or loosen it further, we will make sure that we respond to that. But our general approach is to allow visitors for 2 evenings, a maximum of 2 overnight stops per week.
Brilliant, thank you. Another popular question is facilities, and what are the closest supermarkets from the campus, and what are they? And I guess when they mean campus, they mean the learning campus and also the halls of residence.
Okay, so the halls are all generally situated in a similar area. So they are situated near the Law Building, 1 Friargate Square and Britannia Mill. So they're about 3/4 of a mile from Kedliston Road, and they're on the outskirts of the city centre. In the immediate vicinity of the halls, there are local Sainsbury's, so those sort of smaller Sainsbury's shops. And then obviously in the city centre, you've got bigger supermarkets such as Tesco's and Sainsbury's and places like that.
Great, thank you. Another quick question. Are you allowed to take mini fridges into your room?
Yes, as long as they are PAT tested, but depending on your reason for needing mini fridges, we do provide those for students in certain circumstances. So if people need them, we have some students that need them to keep medicine in, or they may have sort of food allergies, which mean that they're not wanting to sort of put their food sort of within the communal fridges. So if people are asking for that reason, I would advise that you let us know that, and we will provide that for you. If it's that you just want it for different reasons, yes, you can bring those sort of things, but we would ask that they are PAT tested before they arrive.
Is that something that we could offer as a university, Steve, or would they have to sort that out before they arrived?
At the moment, they would need to sort that out before they arrive. Yeah, that is something that we have looked at, but it's not something that we are offering at this stage.
Okay, great. A question about returning students. Do many students stay in halls after their first year? If you choose to stay, will you keep the same room with the same people that you lived with?
So we are welcoming an increased number of second and third year students. So this year that we're currently sort of coming out of, we had about 700 returning students, and the numbers look similar for September. In relation to whether you stay with people, it's really based on your personal choice. So the returning students obviously generally tend to return with a group of friends. So absolutely, we put you together. That's why you're applying to be with us. So if that's with your current flat and that's who you want to live with, then yeah, absolutely, we would put you together. So it's really based on student choice. And likewise with the rooms, so we do have specific areas of each of our halls which are the returners sections. So we do place all returning students together, really because particularly with third year students, they're sometimes not as they've got a few more academic commitments than maybe the first year students. That being said, if we do also allocate returning students to a first year section. So if you've got a returning student that wants to return, but they specifically want to return to the flat that they were in last year, we would allow that as well. So it's really based on student choice.
And do a lot of people return into halls in their second and third year, Steve?
Yeah. So as I say, this year we've got about 2,500 students in halls, and 700 of them are for second and third year students. So it's about sort of 25 to 30%, if I've got the maths right, of our market. Yeah, so yeah, it's not, obviously second and third years do have different choices. So some of them go into houses, and some of them look to sort of other accommodation. But yeah, it is growing in popularity. Each year we're seeing an increase of second and third year students staying with us.
Okay. Claire's asked, hi Claire, in a standard accommodation, how many people do you share a bathroom with?
So generally that is 6. So 6, 5 others, 6 including yourself. So 97% of our rooms are within flats of 6. We do have the odd anomaly where we've got a flat of 4 or a flat of 3 or something, but the vast majority is within flats of 6.
Somebody has asked, is there a curfew?
No, there's not a curfew. I mean, we do obviously ask that students keep noise down, the later on in the evening it gets, but no, there's not a curfew. Students are free to sort of come and go as they please.
Travis has asked that he's hoping to apply to university for 2021, and can he stay in halls over the holidays if he got a part-time job in Derby?
Yeah, absolutely. So our halls are open 52 weeks a year. So our general hall academic contract is for 42 weeks, and that covers the academic programme, but we do have summer stayers. So we've got students that stay with us all year. The only consideration with the summer is that we do, depending on what hall you're in, we do sometimes require you to move. So we allocate a couple of sites to be the summer sites, and that's to enable us to do maintenance work on sites over the summer. So yes, Travis can absolutely stay with us, and yeah, the worst case scenario would be for him would be that we would just require him to move to another hall over that period.
Okay. Another popular question: do you need a TV license to watch TV?
Yes, you do, unfortunately. So that's the case across the country. So yeah, each bedroom is classed as a separate entity in terms of TV license. So yeah, students are recommended to get them.
If Derby is your insurance choice, when can you apply for accommodation, and is it guaranteed? So
you can't apply for accommodation with us if Derby is your insurance choice. If that changes, you know, as a result of the clearing process and Derby becomes your first choice, that is the moment that you would be able to apply for halls, when Derby becomes your first choice. This year we are guaranteeing accommodation to any student that applies by the 31st of August. So if I think A-level results day will be a couple of weeks before that. So if Derby became your first choice, and providing you set all of that up within a week or so after clearing, then you would still get a place in halls. I said in the presentation that we allocate on a first come first served basis. The only slight thing to note with clearing is that we are based on what rooms we have available at that point. So we absolutely have rooms that are available, but we don't always have the choice as wide as we may have earlier on in the cycle.
Okay, thank you, Steve. I think you mentioned this in your presentation, but we'll ask anyway. Are ensuites available with student accommodation?
Yes, so yeah, about half of our stock, just over half of our stock, is ensuite. Yeah.
I think this is a very important question. What is supplied in the kitchen? Nobody wants 7 kettles, do they, in one kitchen? So what is already supplied?
So we do provide a kettle and a toaster in each kitchen, along with, you know, your usual sort of fridges, cookers and things like that. So yeah, we provide the essentials, I suppose. What we don't provide are things like pots and pans and stuff like that. But what we do after clearing is we do sort of encourage students and try to sort of link students up with people in their flats, so they can ensure that they don't come with sort of 7 ladles or anything like that.
A question about starting in September in the current climate. Is it likely that common rooms could be closed due to social distancing? Is that something that you can talk about now?
It's possible. It is certainly possible. So as I said in the presentation, we as everybody needs to be, we will be led by the government guidance at that stage. Our hope is that we can deliver things like our events program as close to a normal events program as we can. So we are planning very much to deliver to get as close to our usual sort of operation as possible. Common rooms were closed in the 3rd term when we were at the height of the pandemic, but the hope is that they will be able to be opened from September, but that will be led on the government guidance. One thing to note is one of the things that we're looking at for the events program is doing events with particular flats. So obviously flats will go together and they will essentially form a household with themselves, because it's not possible for them to sort of social distance within that. So those students will be able to sort of interact with each other as you would with anybody else in a household. So at the very least, we would anticipate being able to open common rooms for events containing, you know, enclosed household groups.
Great, thank you, Steve. We are rattling through these questions, and we did close the questions about 10 minutes ago. Because we're getting through them so quickly, we've opened them up again. So if anybody wants to ask any questions in the next 10 minutes, please do keep putting your questions in this chat, and we'll keep getting through as many as we can. The next, oh, go on, Steve.
No, I was just saying, okay.
Yeah. If I choose private accommodation, can I still use the unibus?
Yes, yeah, the unibus is free for all University of Derby students.
Are the buses close to accommodation, and how often do they run?
So yeah, the bus runs very close to the accommodation. So there's a number of bus stops outside most of our halls. They run very regularly in term time, so they are designed around students' academic programmes. So they are designed to get students up to the campus for when lectures start. So yeah, they are very frequent.
Does the university offer a catered service?
No, it doesn't, I'm afraid, no. So all of our halls are self-catered.
If you do not meet your entry requirements, would you lose your £50 deposit?
Yes, the £50 deposit is non-refundable, I'm afraid.
How likely are you to get the accommodation that you want?
So it really depends on the type of accommodation that you want and when in the cycle that you apply. So our most popular rooms are our ensuite rooms. So they're the ones that tend to go a little bit quicker. So it depends. I'm sure there are people listening to this that are applying for this September, and equally I'm sure there are people that are maybe looking ahead in September 21. For those that are looking ahead in September 21, we open our applications in January, which is around the time people make their choices on UCAS. And what we say to people is that earlier on in that cycle you apply, the best chance that we've got of giving you your first choice. We will always try to allocate you as high up that list as we can, and the earlier on in that cycle you do it, the better it is, the easier it is for us to do. That being said, for this year, September 20, we still have a variety of rooms available, and we do still have en suites available at this stage. I think they are getting close to sort of going. So if anybody's listening here and is coming to Derby in September and hasn't made their halls application yet and is absolutely sort of adamant they want an ensuite, I would recommend that you make that application to halls as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you. Tori's asking, what is the stance on decorating your room?
We don't allow you to decorate the room, so we don't allow you to obviously sort of paint the room and things like that. All of our rooms have got notice boards, quite large notice boards in them, and obviously students sort of tend to sort of put posters and things up on them. In addition, people tend to put like little hanging lights and stuff off off shelving units and things. So you can certainly accessorize your room and make it personal to you, but we don't allow you to sort of paint walls or anything, I'm afraid.
How long would it take to walk from the accommodation to the main campus?
So the walk, that's a walk I do quite regularly rather than getting the bus. So it's not long, I would say 15 minutes maximum. It's just under a mile. So, lots of students do take that walk. Obviously, lots get the bus as well, but yeah, about 15 minutes.
Ellie's asking, she's been allocated a room for September in Darley Bank. Is there a way to see how many people are in that flat? And also, can they visit the accommodation before moving in?
So there's not a way at this stage of telling you how many other people were in that flat other than if you contact us directly. So if our contact details, I'm not sure if they're still on your screen, but I can provide those, or Hannah and or Heather can provide those. So if you contact us, we can let you know that. We obviously can't tell you names or anything, but we can tell you whether there are other people allocated within that. There will be, I'm sure, at Darley Bank, because it is one of our more popular sites. In terms of whether you can view it, currently that isn't something that we're able to offer, purely because of the national picture in relation to coronavirus, and hence why we're looking at an online delivery of an open day. If that changes at any point, then we absolutely will open that up to students.
Great, thank you. I also know, Steve, that there's a Derby University applicant Facebook group that people are joining, and on that Facebook group, people are finding people that they are going to be living with in flats and in halls. So that's also a good way of trying to make new friends and see who you're going to be living with. So that's on our on the Facebook applicant group there.
Okay, and yeah, I mean, in addition, I am aware that lots of halls, students set up sort of private groups in relation to their halls to help find other students. So I think Facebook is a good platform to find that. But it's not something that we do sort of through our office.
Can you move accommodation if you don't get on with people?
So yeah, we do offer room moves, and we do recognise that not everybody, sometimes the rooms aren't always, your flatmates aren't sort of compatible with you. So yeah, we do offer room moves. Again, there is a slight caveat with that this September, in relation to we would need, we think at this stage that if a student wanted to move, we would potentially have to quarantine a student for a couple of days before we allowed that to happen. Again, we're hoping that won't be the case, but we will be led by the government guidance in September in relation to that.
Claire would just like to clarify something around what we talked about earlier about having visitors. Can you have someone under 18, like a younger sibling, to stay in halls or not?
Yes, so our general approach is to not allow under 18s onto halls, so you do need to have a conversation with your hall manager about that. But yeah, clearly we recognise that some students coming will have younger siblings, and we would look to accommodate that.
Okay, thank you. When can we expect to receive formal offers in regard to accommodation?
So our staff are actually booking people into rooms as we speak. So that process started yesterday. So we will be looking to get offers out certainly within the next 2 weeks. I think all students will have received their offer.
Chloe's asking, would it be possible to meet or talk to flatmates before moving in? I did kind of signpost people to the applicant Facebook group, and you did talk about some other private groups as well that people have set up. So I guess that can be done through social media and things like that, can't it?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Do you have to wait for an offer from the university before applying for accommodation?
Yes, so Derby has to be your first choice university, and you do have to have an offer to study here, but that can be a conditional or unconditional offer.
I have a medical condition, so would require an ensuite. Would this be guaranteed?
So we do hold back ensuite rooms for people with medical needs. So we do hold those. We do hold a proportion of rooms back even into the clearing period to make sure that any student with a medical need for a room is able to get one. What we ask for students is that when you make the application, there is a notes page in relation to medical conditions, and if you provide us with full details of what your medical condition is, and then we work with the university's wellbeing team. So the wellbeing team assess that medical need, and if they're recommending an ensuite on the basis of that, then yes, we do provide those.
Do students who live in Derby or nearby have more priority over other students who live 5 hours away, for example?
We don't know. We don't prioritise students in relation to sort of their distance from Derby. No, we allocate based on as applications come in. So we don't look at people's where they are in the country.
There's been a couple of questions about September 2020 starts, and people asking when is the earliest they can move in, when will they find out when they can move in, what is the process for moving in? So if you've got any, could you give an overview on where we stand with that at the moment?
Yeah, so our halls, as we say, from a summer perspective, are open throughout the year. So any student that is needing to arrive earlier can do. We tend to allow people into their actual flats probably from about 2 to 3 weeks before the general intake day, which this year is Saturday the 19th of September. So if somebody's wanting to arrive within a fortnight of that date, then we would allocate them straight into their accommodation. If they're wanting to arrive further away, 3 to 4 weeks away, there is a potential that they would be in the summer site for a period of time. One thing to note is that there are a variety of courses that have early start dates, and all of those students get allocated straight into their accommodation. So some of the medical programs start 2, maybe 3 weeks prior to the general intake, and all of those students will be allocated straight into their flat for the year.
Okay, thank you. Do any of the rooms have double beds, or are they all single?
Our rooms have 3/4 beds, so small doubles essentially. The exception of that is our bottom end of the price range, so the standard rooms, so they are single beds. But as we go into the ensuite accommodation and the premium standard accommodation, they've all got what we'd call a small double.
Does every room have a TV?
We don't. No, so there aren't TVs in any of the bedrooms. We do have TVs in kitchens at some of our premium ensuite sites, but yeah, generally there aren't TVs there. No.
What would happen if someone in the halls that you were staying in tests positive for COVID-19? So
again, these things are obviously sort of liable to sort of change in the current circumstances, but generally our approach will be there to follow the government guidance. What we are doing is that flats will be treated as households in line with the government definition. So if somebody tests positive within a flat, then the flat would be given advice to self-isolate, and obviously there would be the government sort of track and trace scheme would be involved in terms of sort of asking people to self-isolate. We have got a part of our one of our blocks that we are using for any potential sort of quarantining issues. So particularly with international students who may be required to quarantine, we are going to have a block that is sort of dedicated to that. So it's possible that we would look to move students with a positive test, or it may be that we would be just asking households to self-isolate. But again, and I appreciate that I'm saying this a lot, but again, the decision of which way we went there would be led by the government guidance. We would need to follow that, to the letter.
Okay, just got time for one more question, Steve. Still loads left, but we'll pick a final one. Heather is just going to put into the Q&A panel and your email, the Student Living email address and web page. So if anyone's got any further questions or feel like their question hasn't been mentioned, they can contact the team directly. So the final question we'll pick. If I were to apply for halls now, but due to coronavirus pull out at the last minute, is that possible? Would I lose my deposit or money? Are you contractually obliged once you apply?
No, you're not contractually obliged, and that's the case any year. If you don't sort of arrive in halls, then essentially that contract can't be enacted, if that's the right word. In relation to the £50 deposit, and apologies, I should have made this sort of clearer when we were talking about the flexible contracts. Although we advertise that as a non-refundable deposit, that won't be the case for issues in relation to coronavirus. We recognise as an institution that we need to offer full flexibility there. So if any student decided or was unable to become because of issues in relation to coronavirus, then they would receive their £50 back.
That's great, thank you, Steve, and thank you very much everyone for your questions. We rattled through as many as we could, and like I said, please contact the team if you've got any further questions. I'll now hand back to Steve to close the presentation.
Okay, thank you all for listening. I hope that that's provided you with a good overview of the student living halls here in Derby. as Hannah says, please do get in touch with us if there is anything that you require any further clarification on. We recognise that there are certainly a lot of questions in relation to how services will be delivered. So if there's any sort of burning question that hasn't been covered, then please do get in touch with us on that email, and one of our team will get back to you. But thank you very much for listening.